This is David with Corel Training.
This is Cassie Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon and Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, August 22nd, 2025. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from our Success Group and American Print and Supply. And this week, Terry, I'm really excited to talk about a passion topic of mine. It's something that I was doing out there on the trade show circuit, talking about marketing better in 2025 and beyond. But that has since ceased, at least for right now. So no need to head over to the GPX show if you want to learn some uncommon mindsets when it comes to marketing. We're going to unleash those secrets today, Terry. I want to share with people kind of a three-step. I called it you know me, I like to have a little bit of fun, right? So called it the marketing superhero plan. So
I love it.
Grab your cape and let's market better in 2025 and beyond here, Terry.
You can hear this seminar in the comfort of your own home or your own shop. So.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
All right. Make sure you stay tuned till the very end. I'll be bringing the sauce today. Where to start a new venture. And of course, where not to start a new venture.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Thoughts on getting started.
I get to peek ahead, right? I get to see the notes, and I'm really excited. I've got my marker out, my dry erase ready to go, so I'm ready to take some notes, Terry. I'm looking forward to that secret sauce. It's going to be a great one.
Awesome. But first,
yes, the news, right? We've got the good folks at World Imaging News joining us here. Can't wait to hear from Dan and MJ here. Always great delivery and just a lot of fun too. They're fun like us. So just like all of our news folks, we are really blessed to have some great people around. Speaking of great people, Cassie in there early this morning. But Terry, are you ready to dive into the news here this morning?
Yes, absolutely. Let's hear the news.
Hey there, friends. Maria Jose Clavijo here, coming to you from Bogota. Beautiful as always, but freezing this time of year. I've got my coffee, I've got my sweater, and my heater ready. You're tuned into Two Regular Guys, your go-to for the latest in print and imaging.
Morning, MJ, and I'm Dan on the other side of the weather spectrum here in lovely Los Angeles. It's hot and dry. I don't need your sweater. I might take the cape that Aaron was offering.
I'll send you some of this Bogota chill, Dan. You could
Okay,
use it.
I definitely could.
Today we're talking about a few independent companies that usually fly under the radar.
Yes, the scrappy, inventive ones that keep our industry really fresh and exciting.
So, before I turn into an ice cube and then melts into a puddle, let's dive into our three picks for today.
All right, I'll kick off the first of three picks with a name a lot of folks in our industry already know, Heat Press Nation. Jimmy Lin and his team have really turned this company into a heat press powerhouse. A few weeks ago, they dropped 3 brand new heat presses, expanding their premium TrueSpec line. They started with just one TrueSpec model last year, the Hybrid Auto Open. Now, they've added 3 more, the Hybrid Double Station, the Pneumatic, and the Pneumatic Double Station. These heat presses are loaded with features. They're backed by the kind of support that makes you feel like family. It seems TrueSpec is really setting a new bar for performance and value in heat transfer equipment.
Love it, Dan. And now, the second company on our list is DTG Pro. And they've been busy too. They just rolled out a patent product called Magic Seal Spray, and it's a game changer for DTF printing. Here's the quick scoop. It gives your prints a softer, more natural feel, improves breathability, and this one's huge, can cut down your DTF powder usage by up to 40%. Plus, if you're applying powder manually, it can speed things up by as much as 40% too. So, softer prints, faster workflow, and saving on materials? Yeah, that's a win. And it's patent pending, so you know they've got something unique here.
Yeah, it seems very unique. And our last spotlight goes to our friends at American Print and Supply. We know Rob, Sean, and of course our own two regular guys host, Aaron, who's their community outreach partner.
We've got some connections for sure, Dan, right?
That's for sure. You know, MJ, they've just launched a new DTF printing system with a name that's impossible to forget. It's called the Kraken. MJ, you get the honors on this one. And yes, after that, please reveal our two regular guys' product of the month.
Oh, yes, the Kraken. This isn't just a printer, it's a complete DTF
Mhm.
solution. You're looking at a high capacity, high speed DTF system designed to keep production flowing all day without the usual bottlenecks. From the precision print heads to the automated powdering and curing system, it's all built for consistent top quality results. And speaking of standard gear, that brings us to our two regular guys product of the month, which, no surprise here, is the Kraken. Because when a machine shows up ready to tackle big TTF jobs with reliability and great support, it makes life easier for print shops. It deserves some extra love.
Oh, of course it does. The Kraken. Hey, you know why it's called that, right?
Yes, Dan, of course I do. It's from Scandinavian children's stories, a giant octopus squid like creature with tentacles capable of taking down ships.
Oof, exactly. And just the name, the Kraken, alone makes it a no-brainer for our two regular guys product of the month. It's great branding, but the mental image of it gobbling up other printers, maybe we'll leave that to your imagination. The Kraken.
Definitely leaving that one to the imagination then.
Hey, do you like how I say the Kraken?
Sure, sure, of course, I do.
Yeah, sure. Hey, MJ, we've covered some very interesting stories today, as we do each month. To stay up to date on the latest news and trends in digital imaging, head over to worldimagingnews.com.
And don't forget to check out worldimagingnewslatina.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter, Win Quick News.
And that's it for this edition of Win News on Two Regular Guys. I'm Dan Barefoot, and I'm not the Kraken.
Thank God, and I'm MJ.
Hey, until next time, stay healthy and keep on smiling.
Manténganse saludables y sigan sonriendo.
All right. What again? Always a lot of fun too. I love how much fun. Terry, I do have to. Maybe subconsciously I thought about it, but this really wasn't intentional. I'm actually wearing my Kraken shirt today.
Let's see that for our podcast listeners. It's a full back. It's and it says Montgomery on it. But I have a question. I have all along thought that the Kraken was named after that top shelf dark rum. I'm incorrect in that?
You are incorrect. Yes, it does go back a little further than the latest rum that Terry is drinking. So, all right. Well,
But I do every time I open it say release the Kraken.
Yes, there are plenty of puns that are happening over at American Print and Supply all the time. But no, it's again a lot of fun, right? How do we really kind of again move people on to the next level, and so we're really excited and really appreciate Dan and the team over there announcing product of the month. I've shared it with the team over there, and they're all very excited. So really cool stuff. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you guys bringing us the news each month, and yeah, really good stuff. All right, Terry. Well, let's. Cassie says Kraken shirt equals fire, but also wrong. Indeed, it does. We've got Ramona McKee tuning in. Good morning, all listening in the background. We've got Doug Sobel checking in. So mentioned that Graphics Pro was not the experience that he expected. Yep, that's kind of unfortunately some of what I'm hearing. So fingers crossed that today's a better day for them. So if you guys are tuned in and listening live right now, please do us a favor, head over to share it, hit that share button, and make sure that you get your other industry friends in here joining us. Because Terry, as we dive into this topic, obviously I want to share kind of the outline program seminar that I've been doing in the past, so everybody can take that away. But I also love to just have a discussion. In fact, in the seminars, the ones that I've done so far, no two have been the same. It basically just kind of, okay, where are we heading, right? Here's the framework, but let's make sure you guys here in class, so to speak, are getting what you need out of it. And we just kind of go that route with it. And it's been great. So I would love to do the same thing here with the regulators. So bring your questions and comments and all of your thoughts about marketing better in 2025 today. But
everybody out there, Aaron, that does seminars loves to see that firsthand come up.
Absolutely.
Then people are engaged and it becomes a conversation.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
Aaron,
I just sit there in silence until the first hand comes up. So, make it weird.
So before we do that, though, and I have to forewarn you, Cassie's here. And in the intro, she says the best dad jokes. And you're presenting today, so no pressure.
No pressure. In fact, I presented the dad joke to you and Eric, and I was warned, but we'll see how it goes here. Let's do it. So Terry, just yesterday I saw a gentleman pulling aluminum cans out of the dumpster, and he was crushing them.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it was. It was so depressing. So for the podcast listeners, you told me I had to explain, but I'm going to let you explain, Terry.
Yes, for our podcast listeners, soda pressing.
Pressing the aluminum can. Okay. All right. Now,
everybody in the South is going, pop pressing what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so you have to understand what a soda is, right? For those folks in the North that call it a soda. All right. We got the rolling, smiley, laughing face from Cassie. So I feel like
you've succeeded.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in our show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Do not be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys to book a future episode. You can also email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, as Aaron already mentioned, please join in with your comments and your questions, and we'd love to have a conversation today.
Definitely. Bring those, like Terry said, bring those comments and questions, and yeah, let's tune this, right? That's what I always kind of say, Terry, is we'll tune this to what you guys need, right? And we've got a guardrail, and that's good. That's good for us, and good for me, keeps me on track. But yeah, good stuff. Before we get into the content here, though, Eric did let us know that New Mexico folks say Coke for all sodas. So that also, apparently you have to know where that dad joke's going to play well.
That's also a Tennessee thing. So
interesting. All right.
I love the Coke. What kind? Root beer?
What? Okay, so I would be like, I'll have a Coke. And they're like, what kind? I just said. All right.
Sugar free?
Yeah, exactly. 0. Okay. All right. Well, hey, Terry, let's dive into this. We do have a lot of content that we want to share here. And again, you guys, I guess maybe before we start, and then I'll turn it over to you to kind of take over and interview me, Terry, I think, if that works for you.
Yeah.
But before we start, I just want to, you guys that are tuned in live right now, what does marketing better in 2025 mean to you? right? So I think a good place to start for getting the conversation going. But where else should we start, Terry?
Well, and thank you for not saying marketing better in 2026. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah,
So
we're pulling out still 25. We got the Q4, man. It's the busiest time of the year, right? So we're good. We
exactly.
got plenty of time.
All right. So, like you mentioned, you were going to present this seminar at GPX Long Beach, but GPX has pulled back on some of their education. Can you share a little bit about what happened with that and why you still wanted to bring this message to the regulators?
Yeah, and I just want to be really clear and transparent, right? Like this was something that was discussed. It wasn't like the just rug got pulled out from underneath me. But the reality was after I announced my partnership with American Print and Supply, they terminated their commitment to bring me on for education, and they wanted. They've had for a long time a program where you pay for seminar time. And, the thing that I've always kind of been against with that, or not against, the thing that I've always had concern with when it comes to that is when the person doing the presentation is paying for that time, they've got to get a return on investment. And the way to do that is to sell their wares. Right. And so while education definitely sells, there's always a slant to it. There's never, it's always, here's the information you need to know so you'll buy my thing. Right. And me, Terry, that's just not how I roll. People are showing up and investing their time in being in front of us. We want to provide value. We want to be able to provide value. And so, I certainly respect their choice, but I think small business owners are really craving real strategies. There's so much noise out there right now. And, so sometimes the product, and I'm not even talking badly about the product demos disguised as classes. I think there's still value in that, but you have to know the difference. Right. And I just felt really strongly that this message was really important. The people that I was able to work with earlier on in the year that attended, the comments, the feedback, the connection I still have with them. In fact, I'm doing a workshop for business planning here right after this show is done today. And one of the people that is going to be in that workshop is somebody that I met at the last time I did the seminar. And they're growing, right? We're just growing together. And so I was like, man, I just don't want to leave this behind. I didn't want to, I just felt really strongly about it. So I said, you know what? I got a cool platform. I know a really cool guy I could talk to about this. His name's Terry Combs. And, we've been doing this podcast for a little while. So why not? So here we are.
Absolutely. In a nutshell, there's no such thing as a free lunch, folks.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So Aaron, you've been working with small businesses for what, 30 years, something like that?
About that. Yep.
Why do you think so many still feel overwhelmed and stuck when it comes to marketing?
Yeah. And I love that question, Terry, because you say, you've been working with them for 30 years. Like I have those moments, less and less, the more clarity I get on things here, but we've all had those moments where we're just overwhelmed. We're stuck. I kind of mentioned it earlier. There's just so much noise, right? There's so many things that I should do. All we're shoulding on ourselves, and I'm not cursing. I don't have to bleep that out. We should on ourselves, right? And so most education, when it comes to marketing, focuses on the strategy. Here's the thing to do. Go, do this on Facebook. Do this TikTok dance video, whatever. And that's great when people have a foundation, but most small businesses don't have that foundation yet because all they ever see are these really loud strategy type programs. And then they just keep trying different strategies to see what sticks. They spend all of their money on that. And marketing for them then feels like a moving target because there are so many options, right? Like I hear all the time, well, I have to be on social media. And I'm always like, well, why? Why is that true? I know plenty of companies, I'm sure you do too, Terry, that have no social media presence and they're very successful, right? So, emails, ads, networking, SEO, right? Like 6 months ago, I was the best at SEO. And today I know nothing about it because it's changed so quickly, right? Google no longer uses their traditional algorithm. It's AI driven now, right? And all those things are just changing daily. And so I know for me, I ended up just dabbling here and dabbling there, and I never really felt confident. And the reality is, it's not that you're bad at marketing, it's that you don't have a clear plan or foundation. And ultimately, I believe that leads to inconsistency, that frustration, and feel what feels like wasted time and money. So yeah, that's my belief, is that we just need to start with the foundation.
So let me get this straight. So throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks is not the answer. So, so
There
what
is
is
trial
the
and
answer?
error for sure, right? There is going to be some testing, but
True.
taking as much mud as you can get your arms around, which is your money and your time, and throwing it at the wall, probably not the strategy that we want to proceed with. Yes.
Well, I'll ask the question then. How can we all market better in 2025?
Well, and yeah, and that was the big question, right? That was the thing where I was struggling and felt really like I just was throwing the mud again. I love that analogy, by the way. Mud against the wall to see what will stick. And and so from there it was like, oh man, let's get all these wild, big, huge, complicated strategies. And I think what the realization was, and it took me a long time for this realization to sink in, because it was actually very simple. There were just three core elements that we can think about and apply. And it doesn't matter what size your business is, or what industry you're in. Obviously, we're going to talk about what works for the garment decorating space, but the reality is these things work across the board. And it's not about copying somebody else's formula. It's really about having a framework of understanding what you are, and what's right for you, and then using other people's strategies as inspiration instead of a prescription, right? And once you kind of see that foundation, and have more clarity and confidence in how you operate, it becomes much less about the overwhelm of trying to do it all, trying to throw as much mud against the wall. And it becomes about consistency and connection. So this is what, in the seminar, again, I said I'd like to have some fun. We put our capes on, that kind of thing. This was our marketing superhero plan, and it's 3 simple C's. So you want to walk through those?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
let's
All right.
start with the first part, clarity. What's
All right. Number
go
1,
ahead.
clarity. Exactly. And this, again, the struggle was always, I was trying to make everything too complicated. And so I don't know if anybody else listening has that, right? Have you ever made things more complicated than they needed to be, Terry? I know you haven't ever done that, but the rest of us mere mortals, Terry, we do this. Right?
I'm a simplify guy.
Yes, right. But it's simply, who do you serve, and why should they choose you, right? And getting as absolutely clear as possible. I've kind of borrowed this saying that helps remind me how important this is. And the saying is, when you try to be all things to everyone, you end up becoming nothing to no one. Right. And so it's really answering the question is, who specifically is your ideal customer? We've talked about it on this show. I talk about it in probably almost every seminar. Your ideal customer is not everyone that has money in their wallet. Right? Yes, you might sell to a variety of different people in different ways, but there is a common denominator in your ideal customer, right? Maybe it's their values, maybe it's what their why is all about, whatever it is for you, but who is your specific ideal customer? And once you get really crystal clear on who that ideal customer is, then it makes it a whole lot easier to really understand the why should they choose you, right? Because now you're not selling them. They truly need what you can offer them, right? You're filling a need, you're solving a problem. And I think that also gets really kind of overblown for folks, like, oh my gosh, I'm solving a problem. What are you talking about, right? I've heard Terry say it's just a t-shirt, nobody dies. How am I solving a problem? But the reality is you're filling a need for them, if that helps you wrap your brain around that idea, right? But you are solving a problem, because if they could make their own shirts, or they had a desire to do that, they would go do it, right? And so if you're talking about the shirts the whole time, something they don't care about, they just want their problem solved, now our marketing is off track, right? So it's that level of clarity, Terry, is the first one. So any
So,
thoughts on that?
so for our listeners out there, when Aaron says, "Who is your customer?" the answer is never everyone. So,
Mhm. Amen, brother. Preach. There we go. All right.
and this, Aaron, this is the hard work of it, I think,
Yep.
and by hard work, I mean you have to stop and think, about those questions. Who is my ideal customer?
Yep.
Because, gosh, it sure is a lot easier to sell to the ideal customer than to try to sell to somebody who's not.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
well, let's talk
'Cause
about connection, though.
for sure, for sure. So connection is the next one. And this then, once you have that clarity, now your marketing can really have this foundation of connection. It really shaping how your marketing, it kind of goes from, again, about being selling. See, here's the other thing that people, including myself, got wrong for a long time about marketing is it's not selling. Marketing is simply making other people aware of what you do. And that marketing allows you to build trust and relationships, right? Once they've said, "Oh, I'm aware of what you do, Terry. I'm very interested," and they raise your hand, now your hat turns to your sales hat, right? And that's a whole different ballgame. But we're trying to make our marketing be our selling, and we never get to that point where we've got them trusting us and building relationships, right? Like if you do well at your marketing, your sales might be more of like what I used to do at US Screen, Terry, where I always said, even though a lot of times I was, until Terry got there, a lot of times I was the number one salesperson. I sold the most stuff. I'm a terrible salesman. I am a great order taker. And so if I build that trust and relationship, I become an order taker, right? And so your customers aren't just buying your product, they're buying your story, your values, and really how you help them. So that's the next foundation, right? How do you make that connection? What is it about you that people want to connect to?
And
And
in my screen printing classes, I over the last 20 years, I've evolved my class, and when I talk about marketing, to people want to hear your story. In
yeah,
fact, today, people almost demand to hear your story, and so that's why people have success on social media, those types of things,
yeah,
because they're telling their story. Um, Mel Lay's story
yeah.
about how she got her business started in her garage. It's a fabulous story that people wanted to be a part of, and we'll get into that some other time because that's a
Yeah.
long story. But
Yeah, for sure.
but
And we will break down these a little bit more throughout the course of this program too, is my goal here, hopefully. So,
yeah,
um,
well, let's talk about number three then, consistency.
absolutely. Yeah. So that's the third C, consistency. And I think this is probably the hardest part for all of us, right? We live in an instant gratification world, but marketing is a numbers game, right? It works when you show up consistently, and that's not going to happen when you're trying to do everything all at once, right? Because what happens in our business, right? We go out there, we market, we do a good job, we build some trust, have some relationships, and then we become those order takers or salespeople, and then all of a sudden we've got the orders, right? Well, I don't have time to market anymore, and then you don't, and you're not consistent anymore, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I don't have any business, and you just can constantly go through this cycle, right? And again, you're trying to do it all, like, oh my gosh, I've got no business, so I got to be on every platform and all the shiny objects and new fancy strategies. Those things can be really blinding. Now from the flip side, right, all these marketing gurus love those shiny objects because they're easier to sell. It's that instant gratification need that we have. But the secret they don't share is that none of those systems will work, first and foremost, if it isn't something that's right for you. Secondly, they made that system over the course of long time of doing this. And they're going, okay, I'm going to just simplify this for you. And if you do this for the next 5 days, right, you'll see maybe a little nugget here and there, but then it won't work. And you'll go, oh, well, I must be bad at marketing. That person made it work and they were really confident about it. But real long-term success, Terry, it comes from really just being consistent.
Yeah, and I think that comes with what you've started out with. It comes with having a plan, and write it down. Make sure that you are constantly doing the things that you need to do, that you decided you needed to do. Make
Yeah.
sure, just follow through. And gosh, if you do, it becomes easier and easier to do.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
but hey, let's go a little deeper though. Let's
Yep.
let's start with the first part again. Let's talk about clarity. What's the biggest shift, the biggest change small business owners need to make with clarity?
Yeah. And we've kind of talked about this a little bit, right? That, your ideal customer is not everyone. But that when we're out there creating our marketing, I've seen it, I've done it, right? The whole thing where, oh, I want to talk about this. Oh, but what about that potential person over there? Okay, let me bring that into the conversation too. Oh, and I want to create the biggest fly trap. I want to catch every single insect that's out there, right? And so back to that saying, right? When you try to be all things to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one. It's just too noisy out there to cast that wide of a net. And so this is really kind of an uncommon mindset. The key is to get really crystal clear on that person you serve. And like I always suggest, just because I think people really struggle with this, so I take it to the extreme. Like pretend you're having a conversation with one single person, like visualize that person in your mind. Because right, for me to try to talk to everyone that could be listening to Regular Guys podcast, I would not be able to have any clarity. But if I knew Terry was the ideal customer and he's listening and I know a little bit about Terry, right, then I can much more easily be clear on what Terry would like to hear to be able to trust what's going on, fill his need, and build that relationship. So it just understanding what problem you solve for them and why they would choose you. And then your message at that point stops being just another thing that's noise. People go, oh, I resonate with that. I hear this a lot in different things, but sometimes in the marketing stuff that we do is, how did you know? You're talking to me, Aaron. And the reality is I'm not talking to them. I'm actually talking to me. It just happens to resonate with them. And so they're like, oh man, that's cool. Right. And so I think that's really it. Because we think that if we only talk to one person, we're only going to have one customer. But the reality is there are thousands of other people just like Terry out there that have the same needs. And so if I talk very clearly to Terry, all the other people that are similar to Terry are going to also resonate with that. And they're going to go, oh man, Aaron's talking about me. And I'm going, no, I was actually talking about Terry, but no, I was actually talking about me because Terry and I are similar, right? So you see how that progression happens. But we think we got to start with this big wide net and then funnel down. It actually goes the other way. We need to get very specific. And then that's going to attract a bigger net of people.
And there is plenty of noise out there, and it's not going away. There's just more and more and more noise.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of people out there. When I said I thought Kraken was a dark rum, high top shelf,
Yeah.
they're like, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Nasty. Me, right? Like, yeah. Our friends in the industry, I'm sure.
This industry is made for that. But
Yep.
Okay, so people make that shift. What changes now in how they market their business?
Yeah. With that realization that we just talked about, understanding it's about talking to one person, you really kind of, again, flip to it actually being marketing. We stop trying to convince people and sell people. And instead we just try to talk to people. We try to have conversations with people, and that's going to attract the right people. Right. And when you're connecting to them, your needs, again, like I said, people will kind of go, oh my gosh, Ramona, just a name that was in the comments here, is talking to me. So I need to connect. I want to keep this conversation going. This really resonates with me. And so you start connecting with people, and your marketing now becomes a magnet instead of this, oh my gosh, I've got to sell. Here's my stuff, buy my thing. Right? Like the buy my thing doesn't happen until they know, like, and trust you anyhow. So if you're just out there, buy my thing, people are going to go, I don't even know who you are. Why? Why would I buy your thing? And you're like, because I've got this piece of equipment. And they're like, I don't care about that piece of equipment. You haven't asked me about my need. right? So it again, it's very counterintuitive to what we do, what we kind of think is the right thing to do. But the reality is it flips everything and it becomes just so much more simple, right? The pressure's off. You're no longer having to sell. The selling becomes a byproduct of having a conversation with your ideal customer.
Yeah. And any type change in your business can feel counterintuitive at first anyway.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is a better, less costly use of business resources. But
Yeah.
let's go to the second C. Let's go to connection.
Yeah.
Once our listeners out there, once they have clarity, what's a mistake when it comes to connection, and what's a better way?
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that question, Terry. At least the mistake that I made, and I definitely see it in others, is this, I got to copy this person, right? I got to, like, they hear this marketing guru and they go, that's the prescription. That's the recipe for success. I'm just going to do it exactly like that. Oh, that's a cool hack or trick, right? So you hear things like fear-based messaging or making sure you have transactional offers, or like, I remember at one point, working and kind of got into that trap. And, so I've got 3,000 plus odd followers on my Facebook page. Dumbest thing I ever did. I spent money to get these people that are not my ideal customer because it was going to be the social proof that I needed to really blow up our success group, right? I followed along. And at the end of the day, that's not who I am. That's not what it was all about. I didn't need a whole bunch of people from foreign countries that had no interest in being a small business owner following me for whatever social proof, right? Like, just be me. That's the only social proof I need. And so I think it's really important. You said, what's the better way, is to really focus on genuine connection. And I put together, with the help of my business coach, something that he kind of introduced and I refined for what we've been doing, called the I3 formula. Again, I'm just trying to, we got 3 C's, we got the 3 I's. I'm trying to make this simple as I can for myself to remember these things, right? But here's the 3 I's. Again, it's very simple. Be interesting, be interested, and then be inviting. And so, Terry, you know me, that could be a whole day session, maybe a full weekend long, right?
But it probably will be at some point later in the year.
Yeah, you're right. Yes. See, Terry knows me. All right. But if you think about the 3 I's in that order, right? Be interesting, be interested, be inviting. Thank you, Eric. You are the man. He put that on the screen for any of you watching the video side of this. But be interesting. What makes you stand out, right? What makes you interesting? And a lot of times people go, nothing makes me interested. Really? Are you sure? Like, because there's people around you, you've got family, friends, others like that, you can have a conversation. What can you talk about for hours and hours on end? That's what makes you interesting, right? You have an expertise in that. So thinking about that, what makes you interesting? And then the second part is be interested. It really just shows that you care about them. And so how do you do that, right? And it comes from, again, not just saying, here's, buy my stuff. It comes from asking them, what are your challenges? How can we help? I want to be interested in them, not that they're just a number or a checkbox on their metrics, right? And so how can you do that in your marketing? I found that asking a lot of questions, being engaged in conversations, again, there's no selling involved, right? And I think this is the hard part. We want to get to that sale as quickly as we can, but it's actually the opposite way around. By being interested, you're going to get to the sale much faster than if you had to play all these tricks and tactics on them and just hoping you get enough suckers, right? The P.T. Barnum idea. And then the third I is to be inviting. Right? And this is just make sure that the next step is really clear. Some people might call it a call to action. And I think we think about a call to action as like this yucky sales thing, but it's actually not salesy. And because we think about it as this yucky sales thing, we try to be really general, right? Well, call me, reach out, go to this form, whatever. And now your ideal customer has to choose. They have to decide, oh man, what's the best way to get in touch with Terry? I don't know. But it's not salesy. It's actually inviting when you give them a very clear next step. So those 3 I's, again, we could talk about that forever. But if you're focusing on those things, you're going to be focusing on connection, and that's going to build relationships. Terry, you're a great example of this, right? We've done this our entire careers in this industry. It's not about the number of units that you sell; it's the relationships that you build. And there's a reason why Terry's been around for, since the dinosaurs. Just kidding. Sorry. But I have yet to meet somebody that's interacted with Terry. And I'm sure there are, right? Like, we're not for everybody, but I've yet to meet somebody that's interacted with Terry that didn't leave feeling like they were connected to him. So
100%. And, I really like when you said interested, because the first thing I say to somebody to say at a trade show is tell me about your business. And Aaron, you probably heard me say this. This isn't for you. What you want to do is probably more like what's over there at that other booth. This is not the best solution for what you're trying to do. And it's all about relationships. Aaron, before we get too far into the clock here.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Your third C was consistency.
Yeah.
And you already talked about this. You get caught up in the day-to-day, you get caught up in, when I started out, I was a one-man shop, and I would be printing at 2 a.m. And it's hard to be thinking about marketing at the same time. So, how can somebody simplify this being consistent?
Absolutely. And just real quick, I want to get to Eric's comment here. He said, take the emotional risk to show you care about your customer. And then he followed that up with hint, it's not actually a risk. And then Cassie, I see your comment in there, and I definitely want to get to that. So Terry, I'm going to power through consistency here. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, you're exactly right. That, like, all the responsibilities, all the things, and what ends up happening, right, is we start to feel that pressure of, oh my gosh, I don't have enough sales, I need new customers. And then my good friend Becky Kotzer uses the term, all the things. We try to do all the things. Again, back to what you said before, throw the mud against the wall. But the real magic here is just pick something that you're interested in. Pick something that you like to do, right? You don't need to post on 5 platforms, run ads, send emails, do the networking, right? You're going to get burned out. And what ends up happening is then you give up too soon and you don't have any consistency. And so really, just to be quick and direct to the point here, Terry, my advice is very simple here. Pick one strategy, one single strategy that feels like it's right for you. For me, it was creating a Facebook group because I liked deeper discussions, right? And pick one strategy that works for you, that matches your strengths, and then commit to it for 90 days. Make it all about that and just stick with it. And ultimately, Terry, that's how momentum builds, right? Like, if people reach out to me, I can help build that foundation and stuff like that. But really, it's that simple. 90 days. Can you do it for 90 days straight, every day? 7 days a week for 90 days, be focused on that one single strategy and see what kind of momentum that builds for you.
I love it. As all of our listeners who've been here for very long know, I have a story for every situation. and because the way I teach is by example, I give examples from my own experience. So Aaron, give us the example of a simple 90-day action someone can commit to and move the needle for their business.
Yep, absolutely. Again, really going back to what you value, so let's say you're a writer, Terry. I know you're a writer, right? And that's your strength, and you're good at it, and you love doing it. Okay, perfect. There's your answer. What should I do? Commit to, for example, a weekly blog, or a weekly email, or whatever it is that allows you to bring that writing strength to bear. and just do it, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to do that thing that you love, and then it's going to give you this extra motivation, this spark to share it even more. Oh man, I wrote that blog. Okay, how can more people read it? I love getting feedback on it, or I love hearing what people thought, right? Oh, well then, because here's the deal. I'm not saying just do that only strategy and don't do any of the other things. I'm saying focus on that and see what extra energy you boost you get to do more with it, right? You don't have to do all the things, just because whenever you feel like you have to do something, don't do it. But when you're motivated that you get to do something, you get to share that blog with somebody else, then do it, right? And that's it. I mean, that's I can't simplify that. I guess I could give you one more example here, Terry. Maybe you love teaching. Maybe you're a teacher at heart, or maybe you're a former teacher that's now a decorator. I know plenty of those folks. Okay, do a short workshop or a live video series about how you do what you do. Maybe you're somebody that is also a face-to-face person. Okay, if you're somebody that really deeply loves face-to-face connections, then go out there and go to every networking event that you can find, and start asking for referrals and that type of thing, right? Like I was working with somebody, and she is that person, right? Like with people, there's just this connection. She's got this electric magnetic personality. And that's what fills her up, is going and just having conversations with people face to face. And she was trying to build an e-commerce business at home in her basement, never talking to people, and was struggling to figure out how to market better. And I'm like, well, why don't you just stop with the social media posts? Do you have a chamber of commerce there? Do you have right? Boom. Perfect. Everything blew up just like that. Crazy, right?
Perfect. Exactly. The for our Gen Z listeners, face to face means going outside and talking to people. So if you're struggling with
Gen
that
Z,
term,
that's not going to work for you, and so you're going to do what works for you. Send some more text messages, right? Whatever that is.
Exactly. Well, hey, let's jump to Cassie's comment here or question.
Yeah.
It says, Aaron, why do you think connections are especially important in the current economic climate? With all the tariffs, chaos, global supply chain issues, etc., I think a lot of decorators are feeling it.
Yeah. I love this question from Cassie, because I think this really actually speaks to this entire thing. Like, we are so overwhelmed right now. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but everybody I've talked to lately, they just have this sense of overwhelm because of all those things and more that Cassie just mentioned, right? And so if our marketing just becomes another source of that overwhelm, I don't see how you can make that successful, right? And so it's if your strategies are like time commitment that you don't know where you're going to get it from, and there's so much uncertainty on if it's going to work, if marketing feels hard to you, then you're looking at it backwards. Marketing is simply making people aware of what you love to do, right? These are your God-given gifts to share, right? Your creativity, your abilities, your production, all that stuff, whatever it is for you. And so marketing is simply that. How do you make more people aware of what you do? And that awareness is only going to happen when you're looking forward to connecting with the right people in the way that works for you. Again, it doesn't have to be face-to-face like we just talked about, Gen Z, or if that's not your thing, right? People have heard from me before, for whatever reason, the phone is like my nemesis. I just don't like phone calls. I don't know what it is. I avoid them at all costs. So if my strategy was to start cold calling people, I don't see how I could be successful with it. And so I think it's really important to just simplify, back up, figure out what works for you, and then focus on those 3 C's: the clarity, the connection, and consistency. And ultimately, I think marketing becomes a natural extension of who you are and who your business is, and it's no longer a burden.
I love it. All right, Aaron, wrap us up. Take us home.
Yep. And then Eric says they would say touch grass, but thank you, Eric. I love the comment. All right. Well, just again, we covered as much as we could in the short amount of time. This was a 90-minute seminar. that I gave. So if anybody wants, I just want to give it to whoever wants it, whoever thinks this could be useful for them. I give you the slides, the notes. There's a white paper that we gave away at the end, even some AI prompts that will help you think about the 3 I's, right? I will give you all that stuff. All you have to do is have the connection, right? Be connected. I told you my thing was the Facebook group. So come over to our Facebook group, osg.link/group. You don't even have to say anything. Just make sure you're in our group. If we're already in our group, cool. But then just reach out to me, right? You can post in the group if that's you. If not, if that's not you, you're not ready for that yet, direct message me. And I know I'm not being very inviting right now. I'm giving you multiple options. But if you want the one option that's best, email me, aaron@oursuccessgroup.com, and I will send all that stuff to you. Okay. I just want you in my group first. That's the only caveat, right? So you give me that, I will give you all of this. So
Awesome.
All right.
Good. This is great.
Yeah. I see your comment, Doug. And you're connected, you're in the group. So I'm actually making a note, Doug. You're in. Okay, got it. All right, Terry, what's coming up for you, sir?
Well, my complete screen printing business course, my next class in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply is in 2 weeks, September 6th and 7th. I think there's a couple of seats still left.
Nice.
And then the next one after that, 2 months later, November 1st and 2nd. I was just talking to someone this week about that class. I'll be at Printing United October 22nd through 24th in Orlando, and watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm going to be on the road here much sooner than it's coming fast, man. All of it's coming fast. But Impressions Expo in Dallas, I'm excited to get out there and head down to Dallas. They've moved to Dallas for a temporary move due to some construction going on in Fort Worth. So come on over. It'll be just fine. The trek across town there. But I'm going to be sharing and facilitating at least 2 sessions there, and we'll be hanging out with the guys at American Print and Supply in their booth. So head over to impressionsexpo.com and you can get registered for the event. And myself and Eric will see you there. So I'm looking forward to that. And then shortly after that, we'll be heading up or down, I guess down. Yes, it's down to Orlando, Florida. And I guess across from Texas, but I'm going to come up to St. Louis first and then go down to Florida.
And there's the Gulf of whatever you want to call it.
There's that
in between. So,
yeah. So, yes, really excited about Orlando, though. I mean, just people I'm talking to, things that they're doing. I just love what Printing United is all about, man. They do really want to just connect, help grow the industry. They care about the whole industry, which is the other cool part. Like, you know, we kind of get in our little pond that we're in with garment decorating, but we're part of this behemoth of an industry. So head over there, come meet us down in Orlando. You need to be there. It's going to be an amazing show. If you'll use the code 141404, you can get in for free. And you just go to printingunited.com/attend and hit that register button there, and check us out over there. I'm going to be so busy. I cannot wait, man. I'm hosting the media day. I'm teaching 3 different general sessions. I'm also going to be facilitating 2 other sessions in the apparel zone, hanging out with Terry, probably doing a podcast. I mean, it's going to be a freaking blast. I cannot wait. So come make sure that you say hi in Orlando, Florida.
Awesome.
And then I will share what Eric's got coming up here. So you can, we got a great secret sauce coming up. So you guys don't tune out yet. But Eric is going to be delivering the Take Up episode 233 this afternoon, talking about digitizing input and output, perception versus problems. So in the episode, Eric will discuss the disconnect between the settings we prescribe in software and the stitches we create, as well as tackling the problems between how we see and believe a design should be digitized versus the stitch output we really need. So join Eric at 2:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Eastern Time to share your experiences with what is happening there, and learn from Eric every week a master's level course on embroidery and just the business of decorating. So check out ericcampbell.com and click on the Take Up tab at the top to find shows and to see more episodes from the past. Also, as I mentioned, Eric will be at the Impressions Expo in Dallas, and he's teaching 2 classes there, Techniques Toolkit and all about mascot embroidery. I'm hoping that I do not have a session at the same time, and I'm going to sit in on mascot embroidery. I may see if I can find a big animal head to wear in and just see how that goes. But
That's a great idea. You could be the teacher guy at Equipment Zone that will teach
boy.
you.
Yeah. Maybe I can tackle the Ninja Transfers guy and steal his head. Oh boy. All right. Well, Terry, I cannot wait for the secret sauce. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. All right. Where to start with a new venture. So today's secret sauce, I'm talking about getting started in our industry. That's either starting fresh with a brand new garment or product decorating business, or adding a technology that you haven't done before. A screen printer adding embroidery, a sublimation printer adding direct to film, or maybe you're just starting fresh from square one. So when we talk about where to start, I guess we should probably begin with where not to start. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the like can be great sources of information. They can also be horrible sources of information. So if you're just starting out, you can go down the poor advice rabbit hole very quickly. Save social media training for when you have some experience under your belt and you can sort through the noise on the net. Facebook groups are in a similar category to YouTube, Instagram, and the rest. The difference here will be, rather than one person presenting their ideas, the keyboard experts add their advice and comments. They offer an answer to every question, sometimes with a side dish of snark, whether they truly know about the subject or not. Some of these keyboard commandos can discourage you in your search for information more than they help. Now you might ask, Terry, where do I start? Start by going to a trade show and talk to vendors and talk to other decorators. Keep in mind, vendors are there to sell. Some will try to squeeze your square peg needs into a round hole that they happen to sell. But to be honest, most vendors are upfront and want to help you be successful. Go to trade show seminars. Go to as many trade show seminars as you have time to attend. Keep this in mind. Instructors in seminars that you pay are told to. Let me say that again. Keep in mind that instructors in seminars where you pay, the instructors are told to be generic. In other words, they're not allowed to promote their own products or services. And Aaron mentioned this earlier in the show. Seminars that are free, the instructors likely paid for the time to speak and will be promoting a product or service. I'm not saying that the instruction isn't valuable, but just know the instructor has a dual purpose. Find a class about what your chosen technology is. And ideally, find a class that former students recommend. Check for reviews. In an ideal scenario, choose a class that also includes hands-on instruction. There's a big difference between hearing about it and doing it yourself. Printing United's iLearning offers instruction in several decorating areas. Most importantly, each instructor is vetted as an expert in the industry. There is little education via the internet right now where an organization puts their seal of approval on the instructor, so it's a safe choice. Read the trade magazines. They're free and available online. Impressions, Graphics Pro, Screen Printing Magazine, and all the rest offer tons of articles in every decorating subject. Become a student of the craft. Along those lines, allow time to learn the craft. Too many times, new decorators get ahead of themselves and start taking orders before they do their own trial and error. Make mistakes by printing shirts for your kids before printing shirts for paying customers. Practice, practice, practice is the key to success. That and do good work and deliver on time. Be smart and plan your business education journey. That's my secret sauce for today.
Dude, that was a great sauce for sure. Wow. Good stuff. Yep, that's what Craig said there. And I wholeheartedly agree. Can I poke you and tease you just a hair?
Yes.
Okay. So you left one great trade magazine off of your list.
Did I?
Cassie.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to point that out publicly. I probably should have not. But you're exactly right? Yep. Apparelist fits in there too. What a great sauce, Terry. I've got so many notes. And I love that you started with the idea of what not to do, right? Like you're not saying that that's not good information potentially, but when you're new or you're kind of getting into something and you don't have a foundation, like we kind of been talking about today, that can lead to more confusion than help, right? I'm sure you've in your screen printing classes had to fix a lot of YouTube band-aids, right?
Exactly right. That's a major part of my classes now.
Yep.
Correcting what people learned on YouTube.
Yep. All right, Terry. Well, we have come to the close of another show today. I hope that the information that Terry and I got to talk about with the marketing was really helpful for people to just. My hope, actually, Terry, was that people think differently about their marketing. All right, if we were able to achieve that, then that was my goal. So I just really appreciate the opportunity, Terry, to be able to share some of my gifts with the regulators here today.
That was awesome. Awesome presentation. Awesome show. And speaking of the show, we want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does and keeping us on track and turning those knobs and pushing those buttons.
Absolutely. So next week, Terry, we've got friend of ours and I guess friend of the show. She's been on once and hopefully we can kind of make her a little bit more regular part of the show because she's got some really good information coming from a place of building her business. And I talked to her many times, Terry, and been like, okay, great. So what are you doing? No, I just want to share. I'm like, really? Yeah, not that everybody's got an ulterior motive, but she truly does not. So Angie and Terry, I need to ask her. Mies. Okay. That's what I thought. But then I got in my head. You know how that goes, Terry, for me. But Angie Mies is going to be talking to us next week about how to pick the right product for your project. She's given me an outline already, and I'm really excited to see where this show takes us. I know I'm going to be ready to write my notes down, and Terry will have his junior yellow legal pad ready as well.
All right. Looking forward to that. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.